Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Howdy y'all, Red O'Loughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore. And today my guest is she's been with us before, Tricia Copeland, but she's appearing today as under her pen name. And so we're going to get to really know her well because of her series coming out. A little bit about me. I have a book coming out in July. I picked the date July 4th, and that is my book called Aging Sucks. And it deals with the primary hallmarks of aging, the primary hallmarks of health, and some of the pathways of disease, and what we can do to control not only the disease later in our lives that may pop up. It seems to be something that happens all the time as you get older, but also what can we do to keep ourselves in good health, look as we're getting older. That plus the fact this is the first of my 3 shows back to back today. So the next show is going to be The Wise Ones, and then I have my own show called Talking Heads later on. So that's enough about me. Let's go ahead and before I get started, let me go ahead and remind anybody, if you're watching today on YouTube, please consider joining us as subscribers on USA Global TV and Radio Network or on the Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck YouTube channel. Really appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Tricia Copeland, please join me. And from this moment on, you're Maria Jane. So we'll keep it that way. Okay, Maria, you tell us a little bit about why the Perfect Romance series even began.
Right. Well, I write fantasy under Tricia Copeland, as you mentioned, but that sometimes gets heavy. I mean, it's YA fantasy. It shouldn't be that heavy, but I mean, we dive into my characters are put in peril very often, and I wanted to take a little break and get back to my romance roots. So I set out to write the perfect romance book, not surprisingly. And that started with the book Perfect, which is a novel that just re-released under the pen name Maria Jane. It is actually an alternate ending romance. So you get to pick your own ending and see maybe which path you think is best for the main character, Chloe.
Kind of like the movie Clue.
Right. It could be a Netflix game.
Yeah, it's 3 different endings for that movie, and they were showing, nobody told you that, but you went to the movie theater and then you start comparing. No, well, that wasn't how my movie ended. And of course, on TV, you can see all 3 endings. That's kind of neat. But so the Perfect Romance, is this in the eye of the beholder?
It definitely is in the eye of the beholder, and it's meant to showcase that there may be different versions of perfect for our own lives and for our lives at different points as we go through, high school, college, out in the workforce, just different transitions that you may find in different situations that you may find yourself in where, you might not expect to meet someone, maybe a different personality than you were once attracted to, or just those different stages of life that give us different opportunities and different people being right partners for us.
It's interesting. A lot of times we kind of think we know what we want, and then all of a sudden we bump into somebody and they've captured us. And that capture can lead to marriage and a really happy life or divorce or whatever. You never know. but few of us ever sit down and really decide, way back when, what am I really looking for? What do I want in a relationship, a perfect relationship? And sometimes that relationship doesn't necessarily unfold during the romance part of things, because you're here, your partner's here, then all of a sudden you graduate, you move to a different city, new jobs, kids, everything in the world happens, and that 15 to 35 years, that 20-year cycle there, where you're leaving your teenage years, and all of a sudden your brain is still transitioning into about 25, and then it becomes mature and doesn't age anymore. But you're exposed to so many things. So how do you define a perfect romance?
Well, I think it's what maybe either perfectly complements you, or not perfectly complements you, but complements your personality, and someone who supports you, and someone who is there to bounce ideas off of. And I think, a romantic partner doesn't have to be 100% of your support system. I mean, I have many friends who will, be there for support in different ways than maybe a romantic partner would be. So also not like expecting 100% from one person can offer a little bit, broaden, your perspective on what your romantic partner should be.
It's interesting, because when you're dating, and let's say that there's some little annoying feature, you ignore it because it's not important then. But 5 years into a marriage or 10 years into a marriage, and that same habit is still there, and you want to change it. And, July will be 58 years for my wife and I being married. And so one of the things that I look at is, you married somebody for who they are, good and bad, accept it, don't, let it go, whatever it is. And so when you say, I'm not there to change somebody, as much as they may need changing in some cases, the minute you start trying to change things, it causes chaos in the environment that you're living in, and things are not the same then, because it's interpreted differently. And so when you're talking about a perfect this, a perfect whatever, I think that perfect is there at that point in time, and as things grow, it has a tendency to shift and grow as we mature, because when we mature, we see things totally different than we did, even just 20 years ago. So anyway, but we're getting into the psychological end of things and not into the real meat of things. So let's go ahead and talk about, you have, how many books have you written so far as Maria Jane?
So, right, Maria Jane, no worries. There are 4 books. Well, I guess 3 are out now. So the first book, Perfect. Then the third book, As Close to Perfect. The fourth book, Perfect Office Pact. And then the second book re-releases in May. So that will be Perfect Always, which is Chloe's kind of ultimate story. Yes, that's the book. And then Perfect Series, the 5th book, featuring a different character, comes out in June.
Okay. The characters are basically the same?
No, so they are different characters Perfect and Perfect Always has the same main character, which is Chloe. And then the first book, like I said, is the alternate ending, different versions of her life as she makes different decisions. The second book, Perfect Always, is her, ultimate love story. And then with As Close to Perfect, the perfect book, we switch gears and we look at her best friend Bree and her love interest. And then in Perfect Office Pact, we look at another friend and their friend group, Mira. And then in what will be releasing in June, Perfect Secrets, we look at another friend of those, Elle.
Okay, so is this going to be like a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen books in this series?
I'm going to keep going as long as I have friends who have fun love stories. I plan to keep going.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. How long did it take you to write that first book?
Well, it took me a minute to figure out how, because for whatever reason, I didn't want to just write the traditional romance of, fall out of love, fall into love, perfectly happily ever after. So it took me a minute to think about what I wanted to do differently. And then when I had the idea how I could structure it and what those different versions of her life look like, and, if someone would like that type of book too.
Okay, so take you a year, months to actually write the book?
It probably took me a year to come up with the idea and really think about the format and make it work.
And it's this current time frame?
Yes, they're contemporary romances.
Okay. So you didn't have to worry about what happened in 1850 in London. You have knowledge of everything. That's pretty. So you have character development, you have location development, you have a lot of different development. So did you hire a developmental editor for this?
Right. So I have an editor that, and actually she's my friend too. So we had our little launch party and we were talking, and I'd kind of forgotten about this. Is like 5 years when I originally wrote the book, and she was reminding me that we used to go on walks and talk about the various scenarios and scenes and how we get the characters from one place to another. So that was really fun to do with her. But yeah, so she did the developmental editing as well as the grammar.
Okay, so you have one editor for everything. Okay.
Yes, and then a proofreader.
Yeah, and then you also have somebody you can kibitz back and forth off of. Well, maybe Chloe shouldn't be doing that right now.
Right. Yes, and I have my beta readers too, so that's always interesting to get feedback from them.
Okay, so how long once you had the book written, how long did the editing process take for that book versus maybe one of your more recent ones? Let's kind of compare the time.
It stays pretty standard. It's about a 6 weeks to a 2-month window, depending on how long the book is, how long it takes the editor to get those comments back to me. So that I would do 2 rounds of editing and then 1 round with the proofreader, and then and my beta readers can kind of I like to do my beta readers before the edits, because those beta readers are going to tell me like, oh no, that wasn't practical, or we didn't think that was believable. And they can give me feedback on, or it got boring at this point. They can give me feedback on that before I go to the editor for those fixes.
Yeah, before COVID, I used to have 2 nights of editing at my home and bring people over, and we'd have, drinks and social intercourse and all that other kind of stuff. And I give everybody different chapters in a red pen and just let people go crazy. And that way I had different eyes looking at things and different ways but with COVID that stopped. And I was just talking to my wife here last week, the week before, about I need to do that again for this book that I have coming out in July. And so I'm starting to, okay, I got this one to do there, I got to do that. Okay. And so all of a sudden things are starting to compress because I haven't started writing the book yet. I said I'm going to start on the 26th of April, which is not very far away. And then the book's going to be published July 4th. But it's nonfiction. It's not everything is, just the facts, ma'am. It's pretty standard. So I don't think there's going to be difficulty in getting it written, because all of my marketing articles now are essentially chapters in the book or sections in the book. So it's already being written, even though I'm not writing the book. So when did you start marketing your book?
I generally start marketing my book as soon as I finish one book. I start thinking about the next book and start putting teasers out. I like to get feedback and input from my subscriber list. So for one of the books, Perfect Office Pact, I had my newsletter subscribers pick the names for the character. And then in this most recent Perfect Secrets that comes out in June, I had my subscribers pick like what genre of book she liked to read and what were her hobbies and where she lived, and the setting and some of the personality traits of the characters.
How are you marketing your book?
I market really anywhere. I have a publicist, so I do a lot of articles and they put out press releases, but I also am on social media. I love doing little clips and talking about my books, as well as, I guess you call them video book trailers, and those are really fun for me.
I just started doing the video book trailers here not that long ago, within the last year. And I guess because AI came along and just made it so easy to do. Before that, I guess you almost had to hire somebody, but the AI, do you find that of any value in your writing?
I don't use it in my writing. I guess I use it for research sometimes. So, if you type something into Google, it'll give you the AI, what is this? I mean, you always need to check the sources if you're like quoting someone or quoting something. But so that's really the only way I use AI. I like using AI to create smaller clips from a longer video. That always is good.
Okay, so you're using it as a tool for your video primarily.
Yep.
And for all of us, we use it for the last decades on spell check and grammar check and things like that. We never realized how powerful it was going to be down the road. But, I've noticed here recently, I use Grammarly a lot, and it has an AI fold into it that is just absolutely unbelievable for the kind of writing that I do. I just amazed at how well that thing is just growing. But I use it for my research, and I use it for everything. In fact, I have a conversation with my AI probably every day, at least an hour. It seems like almost like I'm dating my AI. But anyway, the book covers you have. Tell us about how they got designed and what input you had to them and stuff.
Right. Well, I wanted them to be really, what is the word? Nondescript, because definitely in Perfect, there's 5 different love interests, and one's her high school sweetheart, one's a college romance, one's someone she meets in Paris. And so I really wanted it to not, give any hints as to maybe which love interest she chooses in the end. So the reader could just kind of fill in those blanks for themselves.
Do you have a preferred romance author that you like to read?
Oh, I have several. I love Emily Henry. I love Abby Jimenez. I think Mari McFarlane is one that I just started or just recently read one of her first one of her books that I just read. I really liked her. So I have several that I pay attention to and grab up their next release.
Now, are these books historically written, or are they also contemporary?
They're mostly contemporary. Emily Henry does write some YA fantasies too, so I like those as well.
So when you're sitting down in your next book, perfectly whatever, do you kind of have an idea of who the characters are, or is this something that evolves as you're writing?
The characters so far have been a little bit formed in the first book, Perfect. We see Chloe and her friends in college, and so you meet that friend group there, and you kind of get a glimpse of, oh, this person is the person who's going to pull everybody out to the party. This person's going to be the person that's the mama duck, and this person is going to be a little more serious. So we have a little bit of those personalities of those characters form, but we don't have a lot of backstory, a lot of details about those characters. So that is really done when I write the full-length novel on each character.
Okay, do you have photos or images or things that you could look at and say, okay, there's Ken, there's Georgia, whatever her name might be.
Right. When I create the character portraits for each character, I usually have, their characteristics on a character sheet so that I can refer back to them. And sometimes I'll look up graphics so that I just keep that character in my mind as I'm writing them.
Yeah, I'm amazed now with the ability of AI to create movies just based on our text. That there's a movie, and how did that happen? And again, it's how well you talk to your AI. So I guess if I were writing something like that, I would be having a picture in front of me. But I have one novel I'm working on based on one of the last flights I flew on Russian submarines during the Cold War. And I have everything written out except for the actual dialogue. So I have 24 hours in one day of what happened in this particular deal. But I need to go back in and have the character development because I have the timing and all the technical stuff, but I just don't have the other parts. So it'll happen. I'm pretty sure. I just need to spend the time to do it.
Yeah, there are lots of layers to a book. You have the plot and the scenes, and then the emotion, and having to convey all that to your reader is definitely a challenge.
Well, we're coming up on a commercial break here in just literally about 10 seconds or less. So when we come back, let's talk a little bit about your audiobooks that may exist or may not. I'm not sure. We're going to get down that road and find out about them. So we'll be back in just a moment or two.
Fine.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Vargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
Howdy, Red O'Loughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And my guest today is Maria Jane. Maria, please join me back up here on stage.
Hi, Red.
Okay, we're talking just before the break, audiobooks. Do you have them or are they in your thought pattern?
Right. I do have audiobooks for 2 of my fantasy series, the Kingdom Journal series, as well as the Realm Chronicles series. Those are YA fantasy series. One's a witch series, and the Realm Chronicles, is a fae fantasy series. So that those 2 are on audiobook on Audible, as well as the Kingdom Journals is audiobook wide.
Okay, so with the Perfect series, there's no audiobooks yet.
Not yet. Yes, that is in the works.
Okay, so it's in the works. How do you go about finding the narrator for your audiobooks?
Right. Well, my first series, I met the narrator at a book con. She was coming around passing out her information, and I had her read for me, and she was perfect for my character at the time. And so she did 2 of my female voice narrations in the Kingdom Journals, and then through her, I found my Dan Delgado, my male voice narrator for that Kingdom Journals series. And then through both of those people, I found my next narrator, Jillian Yetter, who narrated the Realm Chronicles. And now Tina Wollstonecraft is finishing the Realm Chronicles. So for me, it's finding them through people I know. I tried ACX for a while and didn't have a lot of success in finding someone. So it's become important for me to really know who I'm hiring and working with.
Have you ever thought about doing it yourself, being one of the voices?
For about 1 second. It's a lot of work, and I think I'm going to stay in my lane.
Okay. You know your limitations, as they say.
Right.
Okay. I asked you about your covers earlier. Okay. Foreign languages. Are you looking at putting these books out in any foreign language?
That's another one for the future that I am crossing on my list soon, hopefully.
I noticed that the prices have come down depending on where you go. It used to be several $1,000s to get your book, converted to French or German or Spanish or whatever. But now I'm actually giving it some serious thoughts for some of my shorter books just to kind of check it out. But I go to Fiverr.com and they have people there that are fluent in, Portuguese and English and Spanish. And they have, series, many books that they've done for other people. Because as you know, something that we say in English is not quite well translated in a foreign language, and vice versa. Something that's in French or Portuguese, it may not be transparent to us. So the nuances of being very, very fluent in those languages is super critical. And when you take that skill, as Dr. Jacqueline says, giving away your value, when you take that skill and you put a price tag on it, well, they price it by number of pages you have or number of words. I think is what maybe, but okay, I can afford that. That doesn't sound too bad. So that might be something just to think about down the road.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun, especially I have some Hispanic characters. So I'd like to, definitely think about Spanish language as well as others.
Especially if your couple ends up in a foreign port on a cruise and they get lost or who knows what. There's a lot of things that can happen once you get off a boat.
That's sort of like the Vegas thing. What happens in Vegas, right?
Well, last year was the first year my wife and I actually went on a cruise, and we just got back from a cruise about a month ago, a little over a month ago. And so it's something we haven't done, but I notice when you're on there, they are very, very emphatic about when you leave the boat, make sure you have your passport because the boat's leaving without you. It says if you don't have your passport, if it's on the boat, you're not leaving wherever you're at without a lot of trouble. Just to make sure that you may get stuck in one of those situations you can't get back to the boat. Make sure you have a way of getting out of the country in order to do that. And so I guess that's happened more than once.
That would be a hard situation. I did lose my driver's license before I had to get on a flight one time. And fortunately, after an hour in the little security room, they escorted me through the line. But and I had a good Samaritan that found my driver's license and mailed it back to me. So.
Oh, wow. I've actually done that twice. Somebody has left a driver's license and we managed to get it mailed to the person. That's, I had no idea who they were. It was just take an envelope, mail it. Thank you very much. End of story. I found a wallet in fact, I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. I found a wallet over in Okinawa. My wife and I were doing something, and I guess somebody left the table, and it was on the floor. I didn't know what to do. I just put it in a mailbox. I figured, somebody, and I can't read the Japanese, so put it someplace where if there's something in there, it tells them, somebody from the mailbox, a postal system should know. But yeah, you lose something like that. It's like losing part of your life. It's just, there's so much tied up in that one little piece of paper. So you said earlier, your perfect romance series. And right now you're changing characters and the 2 books from now will have 2 new characters that are you don't even know who they are yet. And so what are you looking, romance is romance, but how are you keeping the romance where it's going to hook the people into, okay, I can't wait for the next one to come out?
Right. Well, I'm trying to vary the tropes of the romance. One of mine is enemies to lovers. One of mine is kind of friends to lovers. There's a small town romance. There's perfect secrets, gets into secrets, obviously. So that one becomes a little bit edgier. But I'm just looking at, the diversity of people and life and situations and coming up with new plot lines and I guess fun situations that the characters have to get themselves out of as they're in search of their happily ever afters.
Okay, so you're situationally developing things that the characters will eventually fall into.
In some cases, yes. Like I haven't done the trope where you have a grumpy sunshine, or you have, a forced proximity, or you have, a fake boyfriend. So there's all those little romance tropes that it's just fun to put characters in those different situations and see how they come out the other end.
So do you see, obviously when you read things, you kind of, okay, that's kind of neat. And I see TV or movie or something. Well, that's really a neat way of doing that. It's like there's a movie out right now I want to see. I'm not sure I'm going to get a chance to see it before it's out of the movies. But when I read the book, I fell in love with the book. Can't wait for the movie. Well, they actually have the movie. Now I haven't been able to get to the movie yet, but things happen. It's life. So you're writing about that, and then you have at least one new book coming out. You said in May.
Yeah. So it's the re-release of Perfect Always under the Maria Jane name. I can't even say my own name. And then the newest book, Perfect Secrets, is out in June.
Okay, so May, June. When do you think another book might be coming out?
Probably next year in the Perfect series. I am about third of the way through that book. So in the very early stages, I have it a little bit mapped out in my head of where the book is going, who the characters are, and a little bit of their story. So still developing that.
Do you have any characters from an earlier book bumping into them at the store?
Oh, there definitely will be, because all these characters are in the same friend group. They all went to college at University of Kentucky in Lexington. So, and some of them are still in Lexington. So we see those characters in the other books and see what's happening in their lives a little bit through the different characters' eyes.
Okay, so tell me, your friend Tricia, did she go to the University of Kentucky at Lexington?
No, she did not.
Okay, so you just happened to pick that location because you know it well?
Oh, no, I kind of just picked, I don't remember exactly why I picked University of Kentucky. I mean, I want it in like a small, not such a big town, like a smaller town. And I grew up in the South, so I like that Southern feel. And yeah, I just kind of picked there and went with it.
So none of the characters have gotten divorced yet. You're not having a divorced guy marrying a whatever. So
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't done that yet. Yeah, all my characters this is their first, I guess, engagement or marriage. So I think I do have some ideas. There's some characters that the first character, Chloe, who is the first two books, she went to Paris and she met some people in the fashion industry. And I think their stories will be maybe vastly different from the stories of the girls who grew up in and around Kentucky and had a little different, I guess, background and then outlook on the trajectory of their lives. So those will be fun stories to create.
Have any of the romance novels won any award yet?
Yes, so Perfect Office Pack was honored by the Colorado Authors League last year in 2025. So that was very exciting to win their silver award in the romance category.
In the tag that we have for the show, it talks about stories, struggles, and silent criticism. We haven't talked about silent criticism yet. Is that something you want to go down that road?
We could. I was surprised to see that there too. So I think I do write about a diverse group of characters, and obviously I'm a white American, but I do write about a Hispanic character. I write about a Black character, and sometimes that can be not received well from readers. But I kind of feel like it's me writing a vampire character. Like, I'm not a vampire. I can't know exactly how it feels to be a vampire, but I have friends in all these groups of people, and I feel like it reflects the diversity that we experience in the world. So I hope that, by bringing diverse characters to the page, that I can help people see things through different lenses.
Okay, so as of right now, there's no Klingons in the future.
Not in this series, no.
No, with the perfect romance, I think we all think we meet somebody and Miss Perfect or Mr. Perfect. We have, as you said, the perspective is ours, and whatever our perfect is. For me, it may be red hair, blonde hair. Others going to be blue eyes. We all have our little idiosyncrasies about what we like. I love freckles. I mean, to me, that's one of the sexiest things that I see in somebody. But that's just a little unique characteristic that I have that nobody else knows about. So when I'm looking at perfect, okay, yeah, that's a pretty good. But again, that's just visual. That's the facade. But when you start getting into what is that person, who is that person? What are their values? How do they react? That's a little bit more difficult to dive into. That doesn't happen on the first date.
Right. Yeah. Those things do take time. I mean, I look back at my first date with my now husband, and I wasn't so sure of him. I mean, he was driving a car that didn't have paint, and he, he wasn't the snazziest dresser, but I got the real authentic persons. And over time, you discover more of those character traits and real, either, consciously or unconsciously learn that they either fit or don't fit with you.
Okay. So you have to let that enamored time out so you can see the real person. So how do you do a backstory on some of your characters so that people understand why they have a certain view of things? Or does
Definitely.
Okay.
Right. So I have all their backstory and probably more than ever makes it into the movie, just because I want to know, based on their backstory and who they are and what they've experienced, how they're going to react to different situations. So the reader may not know every detail of the backstory that I create, but I'm going to give them enough that they are like, oh, this is why this person is reacting this way, or this is why they're moving forward or making these choices. And it makes sense if you know that backstory. You don't want to dump the whole backstory in the very first chapter. I like to sprinkle those things throughout, and definitely in Perfect Secrets, we learn a lot of backstory because there's a lot of secrets in there. So I'm excited for everyone to read that one.
So how do you visualize your backstories? I mean, obviously some of them are experienced, some of them are friends, some of them are, lots of things, but what's the typical way you develop a backstory?
I usually just start writing down in a notebook or on a document, like, where the character grew up, what their family was like, who their friends became, if they had any major upheavals in their life and where they went to college, what decisions they were making. So all of those things factor into the, personality that you see from the beginning of the book.
Okay, I asked that question because as people are watching our show today, I want to be an author, but that character development is so critical, and part of that character development is that backstory that you have to have really firmly entrenched in your mind so that it's consistent throughout. Yeah, there may be some changes, but the consistency is critical for the full book to be developed.
Right. It takes me probably as long to create that backstory and then the plot line of how that affects going forward as it does to actually write the book.
Okay, we're getting toward the end of the show today. How do people buy your books? How do they get in touch with you if they want you to speak at some event or so tell us.
Right. So if you want to look into my romance book, The Perfect Series, it is mariajaneromance.com. So that will take you to all the books. If you want to find other books in my series, YA fantasy as well as dystopian, then you can look at triciacopeland.com. My email is there, as well as about me and all the book trailers.
Okay, so for our audio audience that'll get this show later on this afternoon, Maria Jane Romance, exactly as it sounds. Maria, Maria, Jane, Jane, Romance, ROMANCE.com. So that takes care of Maria Jane. Tricia Copeland, TRICIA, Copeland, COPELEND.com. So between MariaJaneRomance.com and TriciaCopeland.com, you can find a wide variety of Tricia's books. So please don't hesitate to take advantage of it. And Maria, Tricia, thank you so very much for your time today. And I look forward to us connecting again in the future. So take care.
Thank you.
Randall Laughlin here. We're wrapping up today's show, the Corner Bookstore. And my guest today was Tricia Copeland. We talked about her books that she's penning under the name of Maria Jane. And it's a new series dealing with perfect romances. Next, I have a gentleman that's going to be my guest on The Wise Ones, who spent 40 years in journalism, the print industry initially, and then wrote a book. So we get a chance to talk a little bit about what journalism was like for the last 40 or more years, and then why a book literally covers one day in his life, according to the research that I've done. And beyond that, let's see here, we have my show coming up later on today, and I'm talking about aging. Can your body adapt as you age? Because when you start looking at the things that happen, our bodies adapt. but sometimes they don't always adapt as quickly or as fully as we want. So I'm going to be talking about, can your body adapt as you get older? And that's going to be my show, Talking Heads. With that, I'm getting ready to wrap up. I am wrapping up today's show called Talking at the Corner Bookstore, and I look forward to joining you all literally in about 20 minutes on my next show, The Wise Ones. Take care, y'all. Bye now.
In a quiet seaside town in Greece, where sunlight warms the stone paths and the sea whispers nearby, a new adventure begins. Lady Ella and her brother Lord Jack have arrived with an important mission: to teach kindness, patience, and the power of listening. In a hidden alley, a group of forgotten cats feel unseen and unheard, lost in silence and growing misunderstandings, until someone finally takes the time to truly listen. Because when we listen from the heart, loneliness softens, kindness grows, and new friendships begin. This is Book 10 of The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor book series. Find all Dr. Kerbeck's books on Amazon and in fine bookstores worldwide.
My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends, and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.